Day 53. Leviticus chapter 26 and 27. These two chapters will wrap up the book of Leviticus in the Old Testament. We are making progress each day. Don't stop, please. God says, I will send you rain in its season, and the ground will yield its crops and the trees their fruit. This is more than a farming promise. This is about rhythm, rain in its season, not too early, not too late. In the ancient world, rain meant survival. No rain meant famine. So when God says He will send rain in its season, He's saying, I control what you cannot control. Today we don't depend on literal rain the same way, but we depend on seasons just as much. The season of waiting. The season of growth. The season of harvest. The season of pruning. Sometimes we panic because nothing seems to be happening. We pray, we fast, we serve, and the sky feels silent. But from today's whispers we can see that God's blessing is not random. If you are walking with Him, the rain will come, in its season. Not when you demand it. Not when others receive theirs. But when it aligns with His covenant faithfulness. And when the rain falls, the ground will yield its crops. That means your effort will not be wasted. Your obedience may look small today, but in the right season, it multiplies. The next whispers reflects on how strength flows from alignment. You will pursue your enemies, and they will fall by the sword before you. At first glance this sounds violent, but the deeper principle is about divine backing. When Israel walked in obedience, they were not fighting alone. This is about spiritual alignment. When your life is aligned with God's will, you walk with a confidence that doesn't come from personality or talent. You are backed by purpose. Your enemies today may not be armies. They may be fear, addiction, generational cycles, anxiety, financial pressure, discouragement. When you are in covenant alignment, those enemies do not ultimately overpower you. You may fight, you may struggle, but you are not abandoned. Notice something powerful. Victory was connected to obedience, not to numbers or weapons. That means your breakthrough is not dependent on how strong you feel, but how closely you walk with God. Then comes the breaking of stubborn pride. This is intense imagery. Iron sky, bronze ground, no rain, no yield, no response. What is God breaking? Stubborn pride, not weakness. Not ignorance, pride. Sometimes the closed heavens are not punishment, they are correction. When we become self-sufficient, when we stop listening, when success convinces us we don't need God, He may allow dryness, not to destroy us, but to humble us. Have you ever gone through a season where nothing seemed to work? Doors closed, plans failed, opportunities dried up. Sometimes drought is mercy. God would rather humble us than lose us. The iron sky is not forever. It's meant to bend stubborn pride into surrendered trust. God goes even further. I myself will lay waste the land, so that your enemies who live there will be appalled. This is severe. God is not passive about rebellion. He doesn't wink at injustice, oppression, or covenant betrayal. We live in a culture that often minimizes consequences. But this whisper shows a holy God who takes covenant seriously. The purpose of devastation was not annihilation. It was awakening. God lists escalating consequences, but after every wave of discipline, there is an opportunity to return. Which leads us to one of the most beautiful statements in the chapter. After describing exile, defeat, and scattering among enemies, God says, Yet in spite of this, when they are in the land of their enemies, I will not reject them or abhor them so as to destroy them completely, breaking my covenant with them. I am the Lord their God. Even in exile, even after rebellion, even after consequences, I will not reject them. God disciplines, but He does not discard. That is life-changing. Many people seeking God today carry quiet shame. They think, I've gone too far. I've failed too many times. I broke my promises. I wasted my years. Leviticus chapter 26 says, Even in the land of your enemies, I remain your God. Covenant love is stronger than failure. God's correction is severe, yes. But His commitment is deeper. He does not break covenant when we stumble. He calls us back into it. This whisper talks about vows, dedications, assigning value to people, animals, houses, and fields. Why end the book of Leviticus this way? Because devotion must be intentional. God addresses what happens when someone makes a vow, a promise to dedicate something to Him. One statement stands out. If the owner wishes to redeem the animal, he must add a fifth to its value. In other words, if you dedicate something to God but later change your mind, it will cost you extra to take it back. Why? Because God is teaching that devotion is not casual. We live in a time of impulsive promises. I'll serve you if you bless me. I'll change if you fix this. I'll give if I have extra. This verse should remind us that what you dedicate to God matters, so don't vow lightly. And if you pull back from commitment, there is a cost. The extra fifth represents seriousness. Devotion is not emotional hype, it's covenant responsibility. Every tithe of the herd and flock, every 10th animal that passes under the shepherd's rod, will be holy to the Lord. Imagine the shepherd standing at the gate. As the animals pass under his rod, he counts 1, 2, 3, 10. The 10th is marked as holy. Not the worst, not leftovers, not accidental. The 10th. This teaches trust. When you give the 10th, you are trusting that 9 will be enough. The tithe is not about God needing resources. It's about training the heart to trust provision. Back to what we read in chapter 26. I will send you rain in its season. Tithing connects directly to that promise. When you honor God first, you acknowledge that rain comes from Him. If we step back, Leviticus chapter 26 and 27 are not about farming, war, drought, or livestock. They are about relationship. Blessings flow from walking with God. Discipline comes when we resist Him. Mercy restores us when we return. Vows deepen commitment. Tithes train trust. God desires partnership. He says repeatedly, I will walk among you. I will be your God, you will be my people. The goal was never rules. The goal was nearness. If you are seeking God today, here is what these chapters whisper to your heart. Your obedience matters more than you think. Seasons of dryness are not proof of abandonment. Pride can block blessing, but humility reopens heaven. Consequences are not the end of your story. God does not break covenant when you struggle. Take your commitment seriously. Trust Him with your first and your best. Even when Israel failed repeatedly, God said, I will not reject them. That is hope. You may feel like you are in a land of enemies, a place of regret, pressure, or spiritual distance. But if you turn toward Him, you will discover something powerful. The God who sends rain, the God who disciplines pride, the God who allows consequences, is the same God who refuses to destroy His covenant people. The final word is not judgment, it is covenant. And covenant means this: He is still your God.